Starting with Poki, who said, "Stop sexualizing people without their consent." That's it. That's the tweet.
That's not even a good tweet. People are gonna sexualize anybody. That's not the problem. The problem isn't sexualizing people. The problem is when you objectify people. The problem is when you act creepy towards people. I think that's a good point. I think that the extreme reaction, and I'll say this a million times, even though it doesn't matter, people say, oh, Destiny thinks you can't be upset at all. It's fine to be like upset or annoyed. But I think the extreme reaction is because I think that this has more to do with people in the United States. Apparently, American Indians never liked it when you took photographs because they thought if somebody took a picture of you, they were like stealing your soul.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is like really dumb, kind of, to like Western people to think about that. But
no, it's
with
not
the way
dumb.
that the the deepfake stuff works, I mean, in a way, that kind of could be the thing where it's like if somebody manages to get a picture of your face, they could theoretically own your identity. Like that's actually sort of come to fruition.
Let's talk about Atrioc.
Let's.
Normally when I make a mogul mail, it's a pretty simple process. I just find a topic I'm interested in, I do research on the topic, and I give my take. That's it. But for the first time ever, I felt pressure to make this video. It hasn't even been 48 hours since Atrioc, one of my friends, was revealed on-stream alt-tabbing, which exposed that he paid for a deepfake porn website of streamers, of his coworkers, of pretty much every woman you can think of on Twitch or YouTube, my girlfriend included. Now, he did say in his apology that, you know, it was a video of someone he didn't know in real life, but I don't really think the nuance matters. Some people were mad at me in my DMs and they tweeted at me that I've taken so long to make this video, but I hope you get that I prioritized being a boyfriend to my girlfriend, who's had a very shit past couple of days, over being like mogul male guy.
I'm not trying to burn a Ludwig bridge, but like, bro, people made a website where they deepfake porn. It was pretty gross, kind of creepy, but like, bro, does she need like emotional support through these like trying times? Are we being serious right now?
But then when I sat down to think of like, okay, what am I supposed to say here? What is my take? It didn't feel like there was any other take to have than the one being expressed by all the women online.
Oh my God, it's like every cringe point. Believe, listen to their voice. Oh my God. Okay, it's all right. Ugh.
So rather than tell you a random dude's opinion on all this, I figured I would just show you some of the tweets that I thought were poignant and powerful and read them together.
She claimed it's exacerbating her dysmorphia. Why are you looking? Why are you looking? Just don't look. Don't go to the page. Don't look at it. She did say people were sending it to her. Does she go through every fucking DM in her mystery box? Or I don't know. I thought, aren't these the streamers that say they get like death threats and shit all the fucking time? Now they're telling me that they pour through every single DM they get on Instagram, on Twitter, on... Just don't look.
Starting with Poki, who said, "Stop sexualizing people without their consent." That's it. That's the tweet.
That's not even a good tweet. People are gonna sexualize anybody. That's not the problem. The problem isn't sexualizing people. The problem is when you objectify people. The problem is when you act creepy towards people. There's no problem with sexualizing. You don't want to jerk off to some person because you think they're a hot streamer. Knock yourself out. Who the cares? It's not even a good tweet.
I don't really even understand how you would have a different opinion. If someone doesn't want to be sexualized and they don't consent to it, they shouldn't be sexualized. Next tweet was from...
You don't have to consent to things that are happening in other people's minds. Bro, we're not here to fucking mind police you.
Ray, who said it should be illegal to profit off of somebody's likeness in sex work without consent, whether it's fake or not. Talking about it will bring those sites more attention, but I hope this helps take a step forward in the right direction so that law can be made to protect people from being used in this way.
I think that's a good point. The profiting part is pretty shitty if you're profiting off of somebody else's image and likeness for porn. That's pretty shitty. Sure, that's fair.
Is a good point. Not only are these women not consenting, somebody is profiting off of them, and they're not consenting. Crazy. And to the second point,
crazy,
about how it'd bring more attention, I feel a bit better about making this video now because the creator of this website took down the website. To be clear, he's still a weird, creepy piece of shit, but the website at least was taken down, so no one can, from this video, try to see what all was going on there. Next tweet is from Sweet Anita, who said, "This story was how I found out that I'm on this website. I literally choose to pass up millions by not going into sex work, and some random Cheeto-encrusted porn addict solicits my body without my consent instead. don't know whether to cry, break stuff, or laugh at this point. And I think, honestly, that's one of the biggest fuck-ups Atrioc did. Like, it is a fuck-up and a severe lapse in judgment to not only go to this porn website, but pay for this porn website. But then leaking it on stream caused a whole new world of harm because so many new people were exposed to this idea and then went out to seek what this idea was, to seek deepfake porn. Not only that, a bunch of women, because this was leaked, found out they were on the website. And if you don't know, my girlfriend and many other women pay sometimes thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a month just to make sure that, like, random photos of them being sexualized are not on the internet.
Tens of thousands of dollars a month? Aren't there like automated services that you can pay a couple $100 to sign up to that automatically scrub that shit from the internet? I'm pretty sure Melina has a guy that does it to her for free, or she pays him like a few $100s. Tens of thousands? That sounds like blackmail, Chief. Tens of thousands? Okay.
They pay money, which is not part of their job description, just so that it doesn't exist. And it's a lot different, by the way, because I've seen this take float around. If it's a woman being sexualized, then a man. And I think you can probably understand, like, how that was created over the past couple of centuries of humanity, where, you know, my balls being leaked is a funny thing, and then a woman's boobs being leaked leads to, like, you know, a bunch of teenage kids, acne-faced kids jerking off. I think you can probably understand that.
How is that even that much worse? I reject this. I don't buy this. I'm fighting hard against this. You know why I thought about this? Here's why I thought about this, okay? My shit got leaked 10 years ago, and it was a whatever. Who cares? If my would have been 4 inches or 3 inches long, I bet that picture would be linked under every single thing I ever talk about until the day that I die. I guarantee you that if I had a tiny that shit would have been leaked everywhere. Isn't the worst thing in the world that people are masturbating about you online? Is that actually your head up that hard? That people are jerking off because they've seen pictures? Who the cares? If people are treating you in a shitty way, that's fucked. I can understand that. If people are treating you horribly, typing creepy messenger chat, sending you shitty DMs, talking about you in a public, that's bullshit. I can understand that. But jerking off, who the cares? Who the cares? I think it's an insecurity thing. That's what I think. Bite me, get mad. I think that the extreme reaction, and I'll say this a million times, even though it doesn't matter, people say, oh, Destiny thinks you can't be upset at all. That's fine to be like upset or annoyed. But I think the extreme reaction is because I think that this has more to do with people's sexual insecurities than any sort of like rooted stance of like, it's wrong to objectify, blah, 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 blah. I think it just has to do with the insecurity thing. That's my position on this. For people to have this disproportionate level of response.
Studio said a good point, something that most people wouldn't have perspective on. The amount of body dysmorphia I've experienced since seeing these photos has ruined me. It's not as simple as just being violated. It's much more than that.
Violated? It's not even your body, it's your face. Violated?
Because at the end of the day, it's a deepfake. It's not you, but also it's what this person who made the AI deepfake is like.
I'll throw this into the ether, and I could be wrong. I feel like the reaction to this is worse than if actual nudes leaked. I think that if there was actually a site that had nudes of a couple big streamers and he was looking at that and people found out, I think the reaction to this is worse than actual nudes leaking. That's how insane this is to me.
Projecting on you, but it's not. It's weird. It's weird.
Like, people have had nude leaks before. Has there ever been a response like this? Well, yeah, it's pretty scary that no matter what you do, point of view can be created. What do you mean by scary? What do you mean by scary?
Brooke said, seeing some awful takes regarding this deepfake situation. We're all real humans with real lives that are affected by situations like these. It goes much further than it's not real. Please have some compassion and think beyond it's not affecting you in any way. Streamers are people. Streamers they are humans. And I feel like sometimes they get treated like actors were treated like a decade or two ago, where they're not people. They're the mega rich actor, you know, fake George Clooney or Jennifer Lawrence or whatever. But streamers are so much easier to access, one, so it's much easier to hurt them, and two, so many more of them. And they are not all rich, famous. Some are just doing it as the only job that they like and can do. And there's not a lot of humanity in the interactions that I see with streamers. Maya had a really powerful screenshot tweet here that said, in 2018, I was inebriated at a party, and I was used for a man's sexual gratification without my consent. Today, I've been used by hundreds of men for sexual gratification, probably thousands, without my consent. The world calls my 2018 experience rape. The world is debating over the validity.
Bro, Destiny, want to get canceled? What do you mean it's only her face? Then sexual assault or verbal abuse is also not so bad by your logic. That's why I don't read YouTube chat. You see what you guys are doing over there? You see what you guys do to me when you make me read this shit? Control yourselves.
Of my experience today. The debate over our experience as women in this is not, shockingly, amongst men. None of you should care or listen to what any male streamer's take is on how we feel. I founded a nonprofit animal sanctuary at 22. I've raised over $1 million for conservation at 24. I have created 0 sexual content in my 3 years on Twitch. Despite this, my face was stolen so men could make me into a sexual object to use for themselves. If anyone doesn't think it's a big deal, that's my name in the headlines, where thousands of people are commenting on the sexualization of my body against my will. Here's the problem. This situation makes me feel disgusting, vulnerable, nauseous, violated, and all these feelings are far too familiar to me. This is not your debate. Stop acting like it is. Which might solicit some reactions from, like, guys watching, which is not all men, not me. And, like, yeah, like, congrats. The bar was on the floor, but you weren't a weird fucking creeper. But you could also, like, understand that it's almost always a man. Like the dude who made the site, a man. The dude who leaked the site and paid for it, a man. Everyone who probably from that leak paid for the site, also likely men. Like disproportionately to women 100 times over. And I feel like it's okay to acknowledge that and use that information positively. And I want to end with this Medium article written by Josie, which I thought was really poignant, which said, Atrioc apologized for viewing the deepfakes, and maybe he was telling the truth when he said it was a one-off mistake. A rabbit hole he tripped and fell down. I don't know if that makes it better. Does it matter? Is morbid curiosity a valid excuse for violating the privacy?
Violating the privacy?
Of people you know? How many women were unknowingly used as feature models on the site? Does the apology make up for sending an army of men to stare at every single woman on the site? Cutie had a good analogy. Yeah, of course, he did not mean to send an army of men to this site. But you also don't mean to get into a car crash. That still doesn't mean that it's not a fucked up situation and that the pain from that car crash hurts. Ultimately, it's not really about Atrioc. He's just another man partaking in the problem. It's about men feeling entitled to every part of a woman online and the desire to consume so much that they are willing to rob women of their personhood. It's about the men who will defend him because they see nothing wrong with viewing women as solely vessels for their pleasure. It's worth reading all of that. I'll put it in the description.
Thank you so much.
Any more of the tweets from the women who are streaming or who were on this website or who were a part of what happened here. I don't want to, like, be a defender of Atrioc, you know?
But he was a good guy.
That's not what I want to do.
But he was a good guy. Oh my
Like,
God.
I
Is he going to do it? No
believe,
shot.
Maybe naively, as the guy who's been scammed for $50,000, that he isn't, like, a shitty, seedy person who's, like, secretly jacking off to my girlfriend. Like, I don't think that's that guy. I think he fucked up. But sometimes, like, that's enough. Like, one fuck up is enough. And like, I just hope from here he just takes all the steps and all the actions,
Therapy.
you know, to make it better.
Have we gotten a tweet yet of I'm going to therapy for this, guys? Please be patient with me. I'm in therapy for this. I need help.
Like that there's some good that comes out of this because of the guilt, the remorse he feels, and how he views himself.
What's your take on actually making the porn or distributing it? Is it okay because it's another body? No, I think it's probably not okay. I think the deepfakes porn is probably, I think it's probably not okay. That's where I'm at on it right now. I'm like 65% against it. I think I could be argued in the other direction, depending on the argument, but right now I don't think it's okay. Feels like it's not okay.
In trying to show he is the man that he thinks and maybe I believe is still in him.
The man I know you can be.
He wrote his own tweet about how his apology on Twitter, how he's stepping down from off-brand to take time offline and to take these steps. You know, time will tell and show the actions that he takes, if they're fruitful, if they're not. I'm not going to show it because really this is about the women. I was just a vehicle for you to read all those tweets. There's the take. I feel like that's the only take to have. I don't know how you would have another one.
So brave.
But thanks for watching. This was weird. Hopefully I don't have to do this again and I can go back to talking about e-girl drama.
I want to talk about like why you think this deepfake AI thing is so, I guess, disturbing to people overall. Like, why do we find it so disturbing? And I watched your talking about it and your conversation with Brittany Simon, I think is her name, about that. And I think you kind of like stumbled upon the, I guess, points that I was making in my head when I heard about it. And I wanted to add a little bit, if you don't mind. So to chat a bit about it. So
yeah, and I can
basically what I like kind of heard, I was talking with a DDG of yours, Prussian, hello, if you're watching, and he described the situation, basically what was going on to me, and said it's a bad time to hop on stream and talk with Steven because of this whole AI fake, deepfake porno shit. And I was like, why? He was like, imagine like he talks about it and you hop in and give someone an ideas about making this about you.
Nice.
I was like,
True.
dude, I don't think I'm as famous and as attractive for people to make it. But then I started to think about it. Would I care? Like, if it happened, right? Would I like, what would I think about it? So all of the thoughts started to, you know, to do their thing in my head. And I thought, well, to think like rationally, logically, it will not be me. It would be another person with my, you know, head, for example, on top of it. So not really me. So you made points about like photos being leaked or some videos of you, but this does not apply, like you said, because it's a real parts of your body, like it really is your body, you know, that you might not want to share, obviously, with people. But a deepfake is not like that. It's not you. It's like, well, absolutely has nothing to do with you, but still makes you feel this very disturbing feeling. So it's for some reason makes people really upset. So I started to like ponder what might that reason be. And I think you're like 100% correct, and people don't give you enough credit, I guess. Then when you told that Brittany and you told like your audience that it is about identity for sure. So you said like that this feels like threatening to your identity because despite it not really being you, it looks like you. And people may perceive it as you because people who would want to watch like a famous person getting like fucked in deepfake video, they want to fantasize, want to think of it as that person, right? So they think of it as actually for someone would made a deepfake of me, for example, right? They want to think that's me. They want to like, they perceive it as me. And yeah, so I started to think about it, and I think that not only it's like identity a threat, but it also a form of identity theft, I would say, because it also disrupts. Weird thing that Brittany did not said that because she's like OnlyFans creator. I think she would think of it. I thought, but she never said it. It's the lack of control, I think, over the way people perceive you. So the control, I think, is very important because when OnlyFans creators, for example, create content, they may post the weirdest like porn ever, but it's them. They control what they are putting out. So this is the image that still they find okay to present to the people. It's okay for others to see it, right? And same thing with like very weird like videos of any sort. So you put them out, and it's fine because it's you. You have full control. Like girls who put pictures on Instagram, they have full control of how they're perceived, like the lighting, the angle, the makeup, the everything. And then somebody will take pictures of them like paparazzi on the street, and they be like very angry about it, because not because they don't look like their Instagram pictures, but this the image they created, the identity they created, and it gets disrupted by people who take pictures of them and they look completely different.
Sure.
So I think it's kind of the same in that regard, but I guess way worse because it's porn and shit, I guess. More intimate, obviously. But for some reason Britney have never said that that's about like control. I'm sure she would be pissed off if someone posted something she does not want to share with the public, because she would then have no control of what she produces.
I think she mentioned
there's
something that was a little bit similar to it, actually, and it had to do, I think she mentioned controlling your narrative or something, which I think it's something, it might be something similar to that. It kind of reminds me of, I think Dan brought this up, the conversation that I had with with Noel, Joshua Moon, the runner of Kiwi Farms, that the reason why a lot of people might not like Kiwi Farms, the website, is because they feel like when people start posting like huge like collections of information about them, that they're kind of losing control of the narrative of their lives, basically, and that's why people don't like those big repositories of information.
So I think it's like identity threatening, like you said. Control is a bigger issue. And also the third issue that nobody brought up that I think is important to bring up. So I'm like a horror thriller geek. I watched like a bunch of, movies, read books in this genre. And also I'm a huge fan of myths, of mythological, like, history and mythological stories of different peoples. So I was raised on like myth. People would read, my parents, my grandmother would read me Greek myths, Slavic myths as like fairy tales, And this this fear of losing your identity, I think it's very primal and it is very archaic. So I tag it in my head to the doppelganger idea, which is the doppelganger idea is something incredibly prevalent in like horror fiction, because it ties down to this concept that something that looks like you, that is not you, but looks like you, appears and basically steals like your identity. So it poses like you to other people, and then they think that that thing that is not you but looks like you is you. So it is a very primal, truly archaic thing that has nothing to do with the internet, but I guess now we have more problems with that, obviously. So in myths, people would be like, there would be creatures like, for example, kitsune demon is like a Japanese version of it. It's like a fox, very sneaky, like creature that can assume appearances of other people. And then the demon poses like them. So the demon in their flesh would perform like different acts, like don't have to be sexual, but can be like with other people. And then other people would come to that person and say, hey, I saw you doing that thing. And they would like, it's not me. And this is very like, I think it's very like truly like ancient fear that people feel. They explained it in like very magical thinking, like, like people used to do back in the day, right? But this is the same thing. So that demon in that regard will be this AI or robot or something like that, right? That poses as you, but is not you. So same thing, for example, like Selkie is a northern creature, like Icelandic, Celtic, Irish, stuff like that. Also assumed like forms of people, and people were terrified of it, like taking shape of them, basically. In literature, I came up with immediately with Dostoevsky, which is his book called Dvojnik, which is double, I think, in English. Actually, there had been, like, I think, a movie based on that book. This is a story exactly about this whole thing, that there's like this clerk who is like very miserable with his life, and he's like in love with the person who doesn't love him back, he's impoverished, and then appears this doppelganger figure that pretty much exactly like him. And that figure would do everything greater than he did, and he would like terrorize basically him. And by the end of the story, he kind of absorbs him, so he basically like kills him and replaces him. So I think this is a it's very dramatic, horror fashion thriller thing. But I think it ties down to this whole thing because I think there's this fear that this thing that looks like you will eventually sort of like also replace you in a way. So people will think about it, not like these girls like who conversation is about now, right? People will think about it all the time. People will talk about it, and also there is this thing when they watch, for example, those deepfake porn videos, they for some time do think it's them, like in their head, people
Sure.
who watch it. So I think this ties down to this whole like very prominent in like science fiction and in mythology idea of someone basically threatening your identity by posing as you. And yeah, I think it's prevalent in like a majority of like, I don't know, very famous Stephen King's books, Nabokov, Clive Baker. So people like who are very prominent in the scene, they would feature stories like that all the time. Yeah, so this was like my take, I guess, on it. I think it ties down to that because I think about it like that. For example, there was a stupid idea about me floating around in the comments and on Twitter that I am in Germany actually, and I am scamming people.
Based.
And I know it's not true, obviously, right? I never left Ukraine. It's bollocks, and I post like everything, receipts, more than most people, honestly. And I know that chatters like DGG people, they, know it's not true. They, trust me. But still, it irked me because it disturbed my this it people. I guess they, despite not being true, it still pissed me off because they presented the image of me to the world that isn't not true, that does not correspond with my like vision of myself. It's objectively not true, obviously, right? But still, the worst thing of it was that someone might read it and think, even for 5 seconds, that it is true, you know. So I guess this is like my a little bit of a like deeper take, I guess, on this whole thing, the doppelganger idea.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because there was like when you typed that thing to me in our DMs about the I don't think it was a doppelganger thing, but it was about another story. And when I saw that, there's kind of like this old idea. I don't know if this was real or not. I just remember hearing this as a kid, that in the United States, apparently American Indians never liked it when you took photographs because they thought if somebody took a picture of you, they were like stealing your soul.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is like really dumb, kind of, to like Western people to think about that. But
no, it's
with
not
the way
dumb.
that with the way that the deepfake stuff works, I mean, in a way, that kind of could be the thing where it's like if somebody manages to get a picture of your face, they could theoretically own your identity. Like that's actually sort of come to fruition. Yeah.
Yes, but in those like exactly, it's a very good point. But this exact they kind of own a piece of you now in a way. Not like it's you have to look at it like on a symbolic way, I guess.
Well,
people
no,
used to have imagination back in the day.
It was
But,
symbolic,
yeah.
but now it's not symbolic, right? Now theoretically, if I get enough information about you, I could construct a whole alternate like reality of you or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about like men and women exactly. For example, someone could, like you did example with Brittany, I think, about a video of her hitting a homeless person or something, right? So someone can like now use this thing, this technology, right? This demon, let's put it like that, of technology to basically paint you in a light that does not, first of all, reflect your identity, and also kind of like steals your the perception you have. So you put a lot like right into constructing an image of yourself, and you want other people to perceive you generally sort of like you perceive yourself, right? So
Yeah.
you want this correlation to exist. That's what makes us kind of like feel happy about people seeing us as they are. That's why many people get so disturbed by on the internet by having so many narratives of them like floating around that are not true.
Yeah.
I think it's all the same issue at the core of it. And yeah, so there was like this story I remembered that I think it was they did a note, a student of Prague that was called, or the student of Prague, something like that. So basically there was like, it's an old movie where this person is like there was like diabolical like kind of character who stole your appearance through the mirror. So it's like a demonic entity, I guess you could say. But the idea was again like this stealing of your look and doing things with that look. Basically, there was also this book Glamorama, it was called. It in the 90s, I think. It's a novel. Basically, there was this protagonist person who was like actor or model or something like that. Victor was his name, I think. So he was like starting to be pretty successful, like as a model, as an actor. And then on the scene appears this person, his doppelganger, so to speak, who looks like exactly like him. And he like becomes very tormented by this whole idea of the person who is not him, and he knows it's not him, but who looks exactly like him. And people would come up to see, hey, I saw you like drinking and hanging around in the club, you were doing this and that. And he was like, no, I didn't. And it's that person, another person. So in those stories, it always generally comes to blows, like between those two figures. Like I think it also ties symbolically to the idea that we see ourselves as unique. So there's only one of us, basically, that should exist, right? So then this doppelganger in horror movie genre appears. It threatens not only just our identity, but our very sense of self. So like basically our uniqueness in a way. So people feel like this need to like throttle this, this doppelganger to eliminate this, I guess, thing. So some people like obsessively delete bad things about them on the internet. So this is the same thing. They try to control like their narrative and their perception, the most importantly, other people have of them. So there's like this evil twin idea that is very popular, actually, again, in horror and thriller classic genre. It's basically the same shit. So it's like the evil twin that, poses as you and pretends to be you and doing some nasty shit, basically, like immoral stuff, like inappropriate stuff. So this ties into this porn situation, I think. So you kind of see like your version of yourself that is not you, but looks like you doing like immoral, so to speak, shit, which I'm not saying porn is immoral, but like something that you are not comfortable doing. So something you don't want to do. So yeah, so I think that's way deeper than people are actually talking about it, because it's not just about, consent or legal issues or something like that. It's about this fear that people used to have like for centuries, and it's cross-cultural too. So you would see myths like that in Greek culture, in northern cultures, in Japanese culture. So it's very in African, I think, as well. There are creatures like that who steal your identity by posing as you. So yeah. You also made a pretty interesting point about it being scarier because it is the creature who assumes your identity had no identity prior. So like a robot or like a AI, basically, right? So when you said like when there was like a stupid parody, I don't know, like porn parody of you or something, you would not be like so offended because the actor who's playing you, he will like take this mask off, like this
and people
mask of
know
you
that
off.
it feels like somebody different.
Yes, and then they continue living their lives as. That's why we don't find actors playing like other people creepy, because it's acting. We know it. But this thing, it doesn't have like identity. The only identity it has now is the one that it
And it's
assumed
taken from you.
from you. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So this is like a golem of sorts. So made out of clay, again, mythological shit, but made out of clay that assumes a form of the man, but it was nothing before that. It only like exists. So now it's like basically in competition with you for your like identity, for your presence. So yeah, that's, I guess, if you Google up, guys, if you're interested, you just can Google. It's like massive in horror thriller genre. So it's like everywhere. So it's a fear that people, I think, felt for a very long time. And since so many like classic people like Stephen King, Baker, Clive, people like that, Dostoevsky, are doing like thriller, psychological thrillers made out of this trope, I think it shows that people, I guess, are irked and disturbed by it for a reason, like for a reason that is more than just porn or like inappropriateness or something like that, or your friend jerking off to your stuff, which is cringe, obviously, but I think it's way more than just that. So yeah.
Have you this is super random, have you ever heard of a story called The Goat Man?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind. It's like a short like doppelganger story, but I imagine there's probably a lot of those types of horror stories, I guess, as you're saying, throughout like a lot of societies.
Yeah, it's super prevalent. Even like very like prominent films, I guess. Double is Dostoevsky. I opened it up, and there was like this very big horror franchise called The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This basically was a story about. Yeah, it's pretty popular. It was in the 70s and the 80s and further on. They were basically aliens who would steal your appearance. Exactly like this trope. Its trope is like crazy prevalent if you look it up. So I think you were like super duper on the money when you talked about it being about threatening your identity, not just like I said, some porn stuff. You can like look it up in the top 10 scariest like doppelganger things and stuff like that, and you will be very surprised how many of those you see specifically in scary movies. So yeah, something to be afraid of, I guess. Also, like I said, mythology is pretty interesting because those figures were considered to be like very scary, and even in like all evil twin Japanese like thing, there was like this village in Japan that they basically thought that twin is a bad omen. So basically, if a twin is born, so it's like a very like spooky thing. So it's like a soul split or something like that. So they would sometimes even kill back in the day, obviously, but they would kill
Jeez.
like a twin or something. But yeah, to remove this like curse, I guess you could say. So yeah, so it's very like superstitious, I guess, to the modern day person, obviously. But it makes sense that this was like the fear for the longest time, I think, in human history overall. Yeah, so I feel like it feels like that. So I could imagine that people are watching something of me that I don't know, like some don't do it, guys. But I don't know, like some Russian dude, like I don't know, fucking me with the Russian flag on his head. It would be disturbing, even if it says like deep fake. I don't know, not real, like with big letters on the video itself. So it's not about. Some people say, well, I think Britney said it, like if you know it's fake, then it's not that bad, and I don't think it works. I don't think it works. It's not about not knowing that it's fake. It's about perception. People would watch that and they would think of me, you know it was created like for example with the whole purpose of it being like me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is like a warped mirror, they would call them those like thing like warped images or wisps of you, like something that looks exactly like you, and it's like it destroys your reality. I think that's why it's so disturbing to people. So I would understand like people being like, people say it's just women crying on the internet making like a dramatic stuff. I guess you like were pissed off at that just a couple moments ago
Sure.
about being dramatic. But I kind of understand what you mean because all people crying about it is maybe too much. But it like just in general principle, I guess I find it very understandable why it's so disturbing to people because it's just dips into some truly like subconscious like fears that people have.
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, anything else?
Basically, that's almost all of it. But also, I wanted to ask your opinion about one little thing. It's not that important, but still.
Yeah. What's up?
Uh, yeah, it's about this red pill thing. So I talked with my friend who's like a very, how should I put it, traditional dude. So very
Okay.
like masculine, very like family orientated, like women, men, gender roles and stuff like that. Not in a bad way, but just. And I kind of told him about this whole thing that is going on, like a red pill stuff. And he was very confused by how the fuck is that traditional? Because when I explained to him like the values, like the material stuff, so money, cars, wealth, stuff like that, right? So paying a lot of chicks, like have sex with like a bajillion people, so promiscuity, stuff like that, and yeah, so don't like commit, basically, a marriage is a scam or some shit. And I just told him all of that, and he was like, "This is like antithesis of traditional." So in a sense, they like praise our like Slavic, I guess, countries for being more traditional. But here, traditional is like a man who like has a like education, goes, finds himself a job, works, gets a good career, finds like himself a good woman, like marries, has children, has a house, cares for them, and lives entirely mostly for his family. That's a traditional man. And this is like complete opposite of that. It's like a Western degeneracy, what people say when they say it's materialist, sex driven, get hedonistic, like get pleasure driven. And it's just to me it's like the exact like this materialist Western kind of like thing they hate supposedly is what they practice. So yeah, so what do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, obviously I agree. I mean, I think I've said as much that when they go on their shows that it
Yeah,
all seems
okay.
like heavily materialistic. And they pretend to be like religious and stuff, but they just want to like have a like fuck a bunch of people. It seems kind of silly, yeah. But yeah, that's one of the big criticisms I have usually when I go on their shows. Yeah.
Have you like brought it up to them, like something like, I don't know, like you're like actually practicing like the modern day Western degenerate lifestyle, but you like masking it with something that's, sounds traditional, but it's not what you're doing at all. What they would say to that.
Yeah, I don't know. What does Nico say when I make fun of him for being religious? But they always like skirt around it. They just say that like, oh, like everybody sins or something. It's always like some dumb like escape, basically. Yeah.
It's not even, it's not even about, I guess, religiousness, but mostly about this whole idea. Like to me, they're living the stereotype of the Western materialist, modern, money, promiscuity lifestyle, right? So it's kind of confusing. I understand that they think that not being traditional is not being like, I don't know, gay or like have a pronouns or something like that. But
I think
it's not only that.
I think when I pushed Myron on it, I think he says it like that's just what they say to like get people interested initially. Doesn't he say that? Because I'm like, why do you guys like advertise like cars and shit all the time? He's like, well, that's what people want to see. But then when they come here, we say like, well, that's just the reward at the end of a bunch of hard work or something. I think they say some shit like that, but that always feels like cope to me.
I don't see that.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I don't see that much. I mean, if you have to dig like 100 videos of theirs to find something that is not about cars and getting chicks and getting, as much sex as possible, then I don't think that's your message. Because if you have to dig deep in the archives to find another message, it seems kind of like it's not your message, right? So,
I mean, that's what I would say, but they would say you just haven't watched enough videos, so. Yeah.
I see. Well, interesting, I guess. I think it's just such a funny like thing that people would, when I was like a child, basically, right? People would have a little bit more of the anti-American, I guess, attitudes than they do now, obviously, right? In Ukraine, I mean, right?
Yeah.
So in Russia, they still do, obviously, but still, they would always exactly criticize this exact thing, like money, obsession with, I don't know, like grind and hustle. How do you call it in Red Pill community?
Culture,
obsession, yeah, obsession with like flexing your wealth and being like having like sex and a lot of partners, like without even any like substance or like this was what people said the Western culture was. This is what they criticized when they talk about the West, which I'm not saying they were right, but I'm just saying that this is like something I heard as Western degeneracy. Now they talk about LGBT stuff, obviously, as well. But back in the day, they would speak about that and they still talk about that all the time. And this is kind of funny that I think they do exactly this stereotype. They just live it, only without the gays,
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. I mean, I agree, obviously, yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess the more interesting thing would be to talk with the person who, actually
yeah, you should try. Actually, you might be able to, because you're like Eastern European woman and you want to argue. You could probably get on some of these red pill shows if you reached out to them. I think.
I think this will fuck me up.
Oh shit! No, you're right. Yeah, you need to
go in a traditional woman scale. I also have like a rainbow tattoo on my ear, which completely fucks me up in their eyes, I think.
True.
Yeah. So
well, go get a wig or something. Yeah.
Oh, good idea. Actually, good idea. Need to buy a wig or, pretend traditional. I can do the traditional makeup and shit, so it should work.
Yeah, there you go.
Also, about the traditional thing, when they like say about like women being like, like looking like horse and trying to, appeal to the man, and then they show pictures of the women they found attractive, and it's like the war paint like on their face, like the most basic like women they criticize are the ones they find attractive. They say like, oh, this Kim Kardashian shit is like disgusting, and then the Tate dudes would show pictures of their ladies they found attractive, basically, and they would show pictures of ladies with like fake boobs, fake tits, giant lashes, and all the things they criticize. It's just so confusing. I don't know how they like
I don't know. Their own I guess I'd have
ideas.
To see what which creators in particular you're talking about, because I think that they're pretty on board now with all like the fake boobs and everything. Like don't like most of the red pill guys say they like that stuff. Am I crazy? Somebody can tell me if I'm wrong or not. I feel like most of them are okay with that now. They like that stuff. They're open about it, I think.
I just heard heard like them like Sneeko and people like that criticizing like this whole Kim Kardashian BBLs and the fake butts and stuff like that. But then you see like the woman they show as attractive is almost always looking like that, which again, no offense to the ladies who look like that, but just funny that they, if you want to find like these traditional, supposedly women, that they will probably not look like that,
Yeah, of course.
And Yeah, it's just like I said. It's to me, it seems like they don't want those traditional women. They actually want the exact women they're hanging out with. The
Sure.
ones who who are promiscuous, who will easily have like sex with people with no problem. That's what they pursue eventually, and that's what they get. So I don't understand, like how do you want to like go a bunch of the chicks and then you don't want women to be promiscuous? So how can the two realities coexist? How can you have like sex with a bunch of women if you think all women should be like have low body count, so to speak, and not to want to have sex with dudes? Like,
Well,
then how
listen.
would you get what you want?
Go on some of those shows and fight with them. It would be funny to watch.
I don't think they will like me. Yeah. And also the hair, like I said, I need a
Yeah.
week to do that, to pull
Yeah.
that off. How do you pull that off? You went there like with blue hair, so maybe I should inspire to be as fabulous as you.
Yeah, because I'm Destiny. I can get away with that, okay?
Yeah, I see. Well, I can pretend to be. I know, no. I wanted to say a destiny,
Probably
but
not, yeah.
there's only one destiny.
True.
So yeah. Anyhow, thanks for like having me on. I just wanted to share like this point of view about the doppelganger identity shit, and I think maybe your pips would find it, interesting, and maybe understand why people are so fucking distraught over that without because I think I saw some people explaining why, and they're like mostly talk about some shit like women, consent and violation, I don't know, stuff like that. And I think it doesn't dig deep enough why people are actually finding it disturbing.
Sure.
And also, I don't think it's only about women, honestly. I mean, you can find AI in the future and robot stuff that will affect everyone, not just, women and sex and stuff like that. Doesn't have to be, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyhow,
stay safe. Be careful.
yeah.
I'll see you around.
Bye. Bye, doodlers. Bye.
Bye.